All right, welcome everyone again. And thanks you all for joining. So this is the second series of our 90-day blueprint using the five-factor formula book. If you haven't a copy yet, I would strongly recommend you go ahead and get that because we're going to walk through the book. Although I have a slide here that kind of like put a lot of things in perspective, just a high-level summary, but the details, they say, is in the book. So and so, like I said, this is the second in series. We had the first one last month, exactly last Saturday of the month, and it was a great time. For those of you who attended, and of course, I got a lot of feedback from those who watched the replay as well. And so that's the motivation for what we're doing here today. And I'll be, just as an outline, sharing with us for a couple of 20, 25 minutes to 30 minutes at the maximum, and then, of course, open up for questions. Because the whole idea is for those of you who are on the ground or online rather to be able to maximize your time investment here. So you have any questions or follow-up questions based on what I'll be sharing today, then we have that opportunity to do that. And then of course I'll also be going through the book. I have the book right here with me. And so hopefully we'll be able to do a lot of conversations back and forth, clarifications on anything that people may need to be clarified. So let's get into the details today. So I'll be walking us through this today, and of course, the whole idea of this, it's our focus today, based on what you see on the screen right now, is on preparation and execution. And we will be exploring the fundamentals. I'll do a recap of the five-factor formula itself, and then we see where we are in our own journey. And of course, two things will happen. One thing, you get enlightened about the entire blueprint, and then you also be empowered to be able to help guide others, because that's the whole idea. You are lighted to become a light to others. So not only that you catch a light yourself, you also can also help other people, because that's the whole idea, the multiplier effect, as we'll see as we go. So today our focus is, which is part two. Like I said, there are three-part series. Part one was on awareness and the mindset. We did that last session. And then of course, today we'll be focusing on preparation and then execution. That's at the core for today. So whatever stage people are in, this is a journey, and my experience is that people are in different places. So whatever you find yourself, if you have any question that speaks to factor 1 and 2, please, I'm happy to get back and provide additional input on that. So, but today we're going to be looking at where preparation meets execution, where these are the things that make the engine room. So preparation and execution are the engine room, awareness and mindset are the foundation. That's what I call them. Because once you set the right foundation, then you can begin to build on it. And so what we're doing today is building on the foundation. Preparation and execution, I said here, are the bridge between potential and performance. If you want to see results, this is the engine room of results. And that's why this session, in my opinion, is one of the critical ones, because this is where you now begin to put to work what you know, not just what knowing something, but then applying what you know. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Now, just a little bit of recap, just for sake of anyone who probably don't. I'll be admitting people as we go, but of course, just a recap for those of you online now is in the Western world in general. There's a little bit for many people who have traveled, who have changed location from their own country and moved to a different terrain. It's a different ballgame. And that's why this whole, blueprint is very, very important. I call it the five-factor formula because they are so critical that if you're not aware of this, if you don't understand how this works, you'll just be struggling and wondering what's going on. Those are questions I have to battle myself. And that's why it's not just a theory. Book is a book that is based on life experience. And I'm at the center of it. And people I've interviewed as well over since I've been out of my home country. It's been exactly the same experience people have been going through until some of them, made it work, but they didn't know what happened. And some, by the time I was interviewing them, they were like, "Oh, this is what I was missing. This is what I was struggling. Now I get it." And so that's why this is very important. Sometimes you don't know when you need something until you need it. So for some of you today, this knowledge is going to be something that would you remember for a long time, because not only empowers you, but empowers you to position yourself to be able to add value to others. So 5 factors. Number one, awareness. I talked about that earlier. That is understanding the context, your current situations, your market landscape, the industry that you found yourself. That is awareness. Some of you can say, oh, but I'm not out of the country. I'm still coming. Yeah, you can understand the industry you are playing in. It's an awareness. There are certain things going on in that industry that you need to be aware of. Number one. Number two, the mindset. For many people who have left their home country and moved into a different space or different country, one of the things that happen typically is that people don't understand that there has to be a mind shift. A lot of people are saying, I'm looking for a job. Nobody will give you a job because you're looking for a job. No. They don't give you a job because I always say an employer is looking for an employee of value. There has to be a value you are bringing to the table. You're not just looking for a job, you're an asset. There's a value proposition that you have that they must be able to, they can't resist. And that was a shift that happened for me. When I came in here, it was looking like, oh, I need a job, I need to pay bills, because you hear about bills. Okay, you need a job to pay bills. And so if you're not careful, you'll be looking for a job because you want to pay a bill. But that's not why they will hire you. The more you do that, the more you get frustrated. Now you have to spin around and say, hey, no, I carry a lot of value. I'm an asset to any company. And so, and then by the time we talk about resume in preparation, you see how we can now package yourself, market yourself in a way that you are proposing as a high value asset to any company. And then they see that in the way you present yourself. Number three is preparation, which we're going to talk about earlier today, today rather, building your professional brand and what I call strategic positioning. How do you position yourself to become that go-to person? There are thousands of people that are applying for the same job you're applying for. Why should it be you that you've been waiting for interview? We're going to that very shortly. And execution is about consistent strategic application in a way that makes sense towards your goal, not about just applying into 1,000 places. No, it's about identifying, and I'll go into that detail shortly, specific companies that align with your value, align with your vision, and then focus on those ones. And then you package your resume in a way that makes sense to those people. And we'll go into that very shortly. And number five, which is what I'm doing today, gratitude. Giving back, maintaining growth mindset, and celebrating your progress. That's what I'm praying for everyone. I'm trusting that will be our experience. So today our focus is going to be on execution, preparation and execution, what I call the action zone. I call it the engine room where transformation actually happens. So stay tuned. I'm looking forward to your experience as well. So the challenge today, like I said earlier, a lot of people, when they get into, international professionals, they have the credentials, they have they have the perspective, they have the skill set, they have everything, expertise, a lot of things that they do have. But they keep applying several applications, no responses, no interviews, no response, all kind of issues that are very frustrating. Now, if you're in your own country and this is happening to you, sometimes it doesn't not much impact. But when you're out of the country and you need to pay bills, it becomes a major concern. That's why this is in a room that you got packed people who need to understand how this one works. Because when you don't know how it works, it's like you're grinding against the tide. And that can be very difficult. So key things here that I need to highlight are credentials. There has to be clarity of value. Value is always, people always describe activity and call it resume. No, there has to be value proposition. I'm going to do that shortly. Your degrees, your certifications matter, yes. But guess what happens? My experience here, in particular in the Western world, in the US, for example, which is like a framework for many Western organizations or Western developing nations, is that they want to understand the value you are bringing to the organization. What challenges, what problem are you going to solve for them? And that's very fundamental, very, very fundamental. What challenges are you going to solve? What value are you bringing to the table? If you don't articulate this very well in your resume as your key selling point, then it can be a long thing, like they say. Skills. You have to build stories. Technical abilities are very important. You can do a lot of things. You can have a lot of skill sets. Good. But what sets you apart? How do you communicate that level of impact that you have? How do you generate results? How tell a story that's able to create what they call transformation for the organization that you worked for. And that's why where you are today, you have to begin to structure yourself in a way that you can tell your story of what you are doing today to a new organization when it's time for you to move to the next one. A lot of people focus on activity, not strategy. That won't go far, for example. Activity is not what they are rewarding. A lot will just send applications everywhere. Everywhere they see job opening, boom, and they wonder what's happening. What? No, you can't use the same resume for all situations. Like I've always said it on this platform. So you have to send what I call strategic and targeted, personalized approaches in the way you will to research the company, and then the way you follow up and the way you apply. There has to be a strategy, and we're going to that today. So the path forward, I would say, requires you and I to fundamentally shift from being reactive to being proactive, or if you like, being strategic, career positioning. Everybody can do so well if they understand how to position yourself in a very strategic way. And that's one of the things we'll be doing, exploring here today. So let's go into factor 3, preparation. What does that mean? Now, on the right side, you see me, I put a picture of what I call a business card. A lot of people use that card to introduce themselves when they go for events or when they meet people and want to tell them what they do. That's exactly what your resume represents. It is your selling, card. It's a card that sells you. So preparation is what I call is just strategic work of aligning your professional brand with the market. Very, very important. Preparation is strategic. Aligning your professional brand with, if you're in the US or any other Western economy, are you able to align yourself? What are you bringing to the table? Is it about changing the way you are? It's about reconstructing the way you present yourself. So let me give you an example. When I moved in, I was an HR professional for decades, doing so well at the top level of the organization. But when I moved out, I had to look at my story again. I had to reconstruct my story because the story I was bringing wasn't going to fit into the new environment. So I had to look at it and reconstruct. So I call this professional reconstruction. I have to rebrand myself. I've done a lot of projects in HR over the years, and then I've said, now HR roles may not apply here because the way they run the HR is different from where I'm coming from. So what I need to do differently if I want to remain relevant? What value do I bring? I've done a lot of projects. And so what can I switch that around and make my project management my key selling point? That became the value I bring to the table. By the time they saw what I've done, they're like, wow, we need you. And everything changed. That's what I'm talking about here. So taking preparation as creating I call it compelling, consistent narrative about your touch point. What's your story like? What does your LinkedIn profile illustrate? Here, when you check online, when they are applying for a role, immediately they are considering you, they're checking your LinkedIn profile right away. And we'll talk about how you can position yourself in LinkedIn profile, how do you structure yourself, including how you appear even on LinkedIn. These are all show your resume, your LinkedIn profile, and of course, how do you network? And we're going to that shortly because this is some of the things I want you to take away from here. 3 fundamental things we're going to talk about here today that I want you to take away as actionable insight from this conversation today. So talent is the foundation here. You have the talent, you have the skills, not in doubt. But how do you present yourself? I call it the differentiator. That's what differentiates you. Always remember there are thousands of people applying for the same role you're applying for. But the question is, how do you make yourself different from the crowd? How do you stand out? And that's what we're talking about today. How do you repackage yourself, reconstruct your story, and present them in a way that is compelling and they recognize value in you right away. And that's what preparation is all about. So I'm not someone preparing for interview, but no, I'm talking about preparing yourself, your brand itself. How do you reconstruct yourself? Like I said earlier, I was an HR person of global repute. I had a high certification in HR, but I had to pivot into a different industry using the experiences over the years that I've gotten in a way that reconstruct my narrative and make me compelling, a compelling hire. Some places today, I don't even look for jobs. They are looking for, hey, are you looking for a job? I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet. How do I get for someone who was applying, no response, to that kind of person that they're not looking for? This is the story I'm about to tell you today. So let's go into the 4 pillars of operation. There are 4 levels: resume excellence, which focuses on value-driven content. If you have a camera or phone right there, I want you to snap this slide because this is the core of what I want to take away from this session today. Value-driven content that's metric-based. Mark the word metric-based, achievement-focused, and ATS optimized. Now, that means your resume should be able to pass through the system to be filtered. That's ATS. We call it ATS means applicant tracking system. That's when the software HR uses in today's world, where we know that when you advertise a role, there are about 5,000 people or more that are applying for the role. And we want about 10 for interview. How do we get to that point? The ATS is what helps systems do that. When you send your resume, they take it through a system, and the system allows them to be able to shortlist. Able to, if you're not presenting, allow you to just mute yourself for now. Okay, cool. So the idea here is that if you send in a resume, what then happens typically is that it goes through a system, the system saves it, and then recommend candidate that have the right keywords. So in your resume, there are keywords for the industry, for example. So let me use project management, for example, as an example. In agile management, project management, there are keywords you must use. Words like collaborations, words like agile, words like scrum ceremonies. There are some words that you have to use, you have to weave into your entire your cross-functional. There's some words that has to be in your resume that shows that you actually play in this industry. That's where preparation comes into play. Your resume must be metric based. That means you must show what you have done, quantifiable. So what you're doing today, how much value have you brought? What impact has it driven? Must be very clear in your resume. And we'll go into some examples very shortly. LinkedIn presence. I'm one that I had even post on LinkedIn for many years, but when I got into the environment, it becomes like the go-to. You have to build your presence in a way, and I will go into that details as well, where your profile, even your photo shot, your headshot, as we call it here, how you show up is as important as whether they will receive you or they will reject you. Because the first thing they do here when you apply for a role, they go online and look at you and like, who is this person? And they read through your profile, which will be consistent in a very strong way with what you have in your resume. And then, of course, how do you network? Networking is a critical element. What we are doing here today is networking. We are trying to meet ourselves, understand, we are learn together, and then, there are a lot of insight we can draw from one another. That's the power of networking. Not only to show up, to sell something, but to meet people, because people is what brings people. We talk about reference. If you have never read the book or getting the book, please, I'm going to recommend you find the book, because in the book, I've shared a lot of insight on how you can network very effectively. I used to be someone that when I came around here, I wasn't open to networking as a rule. But guess what happens? In fact, the last company I joined came by reference. Somebody that knows somebody that say, hey, look, somebody, a friend of mine is looking for a role here. Are you interested? I'm like, okay, cool, let's see. I'm doing where I'm at, but okay, let's see what I look like. And then boom. So people are very critical in our career and experience. Even in your LinkedIn profile, people should be able to endorse you, write recommendations for you. That goes a long way. And that's the power of networking. So we'll go into that as well. So let's look at the resume now. This is one of the things that I want to do today. I want to reconstruct our resume. Let me share with you some insights. And many of you will go back now and look at your resume and then see what you can do differently, because this is where the journey begins. Now, before this session, you are allowed to write something like this: responsible for managing a team, coordinating for delivery, led a team. These are generic things. They are very vague. They're very passive. It's not distinct from any other person. This is what most people do. But what you should be doing on the other side after this session today, look at what I've written here, for example. And these are a digital example to show you how you should be quantifying and describing what you've achieved for your company, particularly if you're out in, looking for remote jobs internationally or looking for opportunities in a Western environment. This kind of thing they're looking forward to. They call it led cross-functional team. That's underline that. That's a critical element of 6. So already they're already imagining you leading 6 people already. Okay. And when you say lead here, lead doesn't mean you're the one where you're the manager. No, it means your effort is as an influence over a cross-functional team. Cross-functional team means people of different professions coming together to agree and build something great. Okay. Deliver 15 plus IT initiatives on time, improving sprint velocity by 25%. and reducing production incident by 40%. Now, this already in their mind, they're already wondering, who is this person? How is he able to do this? Let's invite this person for an interview. Versus look at the other person responsible for managing team projects and coordinating with stakeholders to ensure timely delivery. Generic. Anybody can write this. That's not what we're looking for. This is why this person will never get an interview, and this person will sure get an interview, because already they're imagining you in a meeting with people, and they're beginning to wonder, how did he achieve 25% velocity improvement? How did he reduce production incident by 40%? Let's ask him, because that's our challenge right now. You are solving the problem, and they have to invite you for an interview. So this version showcases leadership, quantify the results, demonstrate clear business impact. It tells the employer exactly what you accomplished and how you are going to bring value to the organization. Always remember, every employer is looking for an employee of value. It's something that you have to write down. If you have to write anything down, that was right. Every employer is looking for an employee of value. Value is the currency that you and I, need to possess to be able to buy our way into our career next levels. So let's look at the sequence that I have here. Replace the passive language, what like responsible for, achieved, delivered, accelerated. Dump those ones. Now let's go into specifics, into numbers. Add numbers like I've done here, a team of 6. This number of projects, achieving this level of percentage of, time frame, team sizes, budget figures if you have them. If you run budget, if you don't, that's fine. But use metrics, and then show the impact. What does it bring? How did your work affect revenue, efficiency, quality, growth, transformation for the business that you are currently at, that the new company should be curious about? This is the winning formula. This is what I've detailed to a large extent in the book. More details, check out the book. And of course, let's go into the next thing, LinkedIn. Now, this is resume. And if you have any question, please, I'm happy to go back to any of these elements. I just want to do a quick run through, and then we'll open the room for questions, because that's really where the meat is. Really why we're having a live interaction. Even though we're going live, but for those of you in the room, it's an opportunity to be able to ask the right questions based on your context and your situations. So let's talk about LinkedIn. LinkedIn, a lot of people look at LinkedIn as an online resume. Oh, I have a LinkedIn profile, and that's it. Okay. Hey, things have changed. It's a dynamic, I said here, it's a dynamic platform for thought leadership to show that you are someone who's aware of the industry. That's one of the reasons why you have to be active and alive on your LinkedIn profile. Networking opportunity. Today, a lot of people connect with me, and I do with other people too as well. First, even before we meet ourselves. And some of them will meet ourselves, then we'll connect back on LinkedIn. So it's become a connection point for many of us. If you want to do well in your career, you want to become a thought leader, then it creates opportunity. A lot of people now today, if you're looking for a job, you can say, I'm open to work. People reach out to you. Even those of us that are looking for a job, people are reaching out. Why? Because they feel, hey, your profile is very stunning. We see that you are a thought leader in your industry. Are you looking for an opportunity? Will happen. Some of them even reach out for us for board opportunity. Just be on our board. Like all these small companies want people who have experience managing projects, all of those things, and they want to be on their board. They invite you. And then I'm on an advisory board, for example. And that's opportunity where I can sit on boards of companies that are small scale. I can learn the skill of how to manage an organization itself. So these are some of the opportunities that this thing brings today. So while your resume gets into the door, your LinkedIn profile, like I said here, helps to build relationships, allow you to establish credibility before people even have a conversation with you. I'm telling you, in today's world, when you mention your name, people are already checking online and checking you on your LinkedIn. Hey, who is he? What has he done? That's what gives you the credibility. So let's look at some element of that, because this is very important. Headline, your formula, the role, the impact, and the specialty. So for example, I'm using Project Manager here because that's what I'm doing. So I like you to speak from my experience so that you can see where I'm coming from. And you can check my LinkedIn profile to see what I'm talking about. You see my head shot apart from the photo itself. You'll see that in the headline, which is where any algorithm of LinkedIn will always check your role, your impact, your specialty. For me, you'll see, for example, project manager, maybe people, AI, and project leadership. Now that got about 3 different areas. That people talk about HR, AI, which is current thing everybody on the call today must be very interested in. And then, of course, project management, leadership. Why am I saying that? Because I want them to see that this is who am I. This is the entire value chain value I'm bringing to any organization. And this is that first. So project manager, driving agile innovation, digital transformation. And if you, I put it here, if you want to show something great you've done, you can put it there, delivering 20% efficiency gains. What does that mean? They want to find out. Let them reach out. So create curiosity in people's mind. Don't assume they will know. People don't know. People are interested in themselves. So when they come to your profile, they want to be, really? You've done that? How? When I first published my book, for example, one who saw it like, wow, he wrote a book, then this guy must know what he's talking about. For you to write a book means you have some credibility, you understand what you're talking about. Because it takes a whole lot of time to write a book. Not only write a book, now publish it, it takes a whole thing, a whole level of confidence to do that. So they take you very serious. The about section, who am I, what do I do, why it matters. This is where you tell your compelling story. And thank God for AI today, you can copy what you have today into an AI platform and ask you to review this and say, look, can you help me review this and make sure that it is compelling with unique value proposition and as examples of impact are being brought. It will revise it for you, review it for you, and you can copy that and put it back in your online profile. That's something that you have to do if you have not done that after this session today. Let's look at a couple of things. Professional headshot. Your photo must be something great. It can't be just anyhow. And thank God today we have a lot of AI tools that can help you if you want, or you can go to a photo studio, or even from phones are very nice today. Very nice photo headshot that is so compelling and inviting. Put your best foot forward. That's the way I put it. If you're looking for work, open to work, put it there. There's no shame there. People need to know that you're looking for opportunities. And there's nothing wrong in that. Your LinkedIn profile is as personal to you as it's official, but it is not your company profile. And so if you're looking for opportunities, why not? Recommendations from your colleague, I said it earlier. If you have mentors, ask them to write recommendations for you. If you write for other people, as other people are writing for you as well, because it's a give and take situation here. Because people read it and, oh, we have a recommendation, that means you must know what he's doing or what she's doing. Your skill sessions must endorsement. People must endorse you and go for trainings. If you look at my profile, for example, I've maxed out about 50. So LinkedIn provide 50. Maybe that's changed now, but there used to be 50 maximum training you can go. I've maxed them out. Why am I doing that? I'm trying to let people know, look, I'm hungry to learn. I'm hungry for change. I want to be able to learn as much. Because people are looking for people who want to learn. And so that's so much. So LinkedIn Learning is something that I think I allow people for 1 month free. If you're not aware, go to LinkedIn Learning. You can learn anything for free for the first 1 month. And then if you are done, if you want to subscribe, you can go ahead. If you don't, you can cancel. And then there will be no charges. You have to cancel before the first 1 month. So learn as much as you can. The certificate, put it all there. Let people see that you've gone through this training, and it goes a long way in providing mileage for you. If you have your skills sections, your media section, whatever you are doing, if you have something going on, if you have articles you want to write, you have posts you are making that are very educative and relevant to your industry, a lot of people go there and write a lot of stories, funny stories. Good luck to them. But for you, make it a very professional platform where you are discussing things that make sense, that people can read and can take away a lot of wisdom from. And that's what I'm positioning many of you to go do out there, create value that people can see and want to connect with you. I want to invite you for conversations. So we talked about resume. We talked about LinkedIn profile. Let's talk about networking now. Now, this is very interesting. Many people who have known probably would think, oh, I probably enjoy networking, go out there and talk to people. Nah, I do it if I have to do it. But when I got in here, I discovered that it's a living. It's a living style I have to adopt. I have to learn how to do. Go out there and you can imagine getting to your room and you don't know nobody. Now, back, for example, in Nigeria, it's easier for me. Probably most people where I go, they probably know 1 or 2 persons already. Imagine getting to your room and you don't know nobody. How do you go? And particularly in an environment like this, where it's very, very diverse, you see all kind of shade of people from different parts of the world coming together in a room, and you're like, where do I even start from? Now, one of the rules I've learned is, again, you have to be ready with your own, what I call your value proposition statement. What am I going to say if I meet the next person? A lot of people go there and say, "Oh, my name is this." I start, what they call elevator pitch. Now you have to develop a statement, and I think we should do that today as an exercise if we have time. Yeah, I think we should have time where everybody on the course today develop your value statement. Look at what I have here, for example. Amara, I help mid-sized companies accelerate their cloud migration by designing scalable infrastructure that reduces cost by 30% while improving system reliability. Now, this is a lot. For some of you, or let me give you an example. I remember I attended a seminar, a networking event about a couple of last week, yes. And one of the things I learned is part of this, what I'm sharing with you all today. Even 60 seconds is too long. 10 seconds, you should be able to tell the next person you are meeting what you do and what you represent. So, for example, one of my own value statements, or what I call value statement is, hi, my name is Lanre. I help people and businesses leverage the power of AI to transform their career and businesses to maximize profits and productivity. Let me say that again. Hi, my name is Lanre. I help people and businesses to leverage the power of AI to maximize productivity and profitability for their businesses. Simple as that. Now, when you say that, it rings in somebody's head immediately like, okay, this guy helps people to leverage the power of AI to maximize productivity and profitability. I need that. They want to connect with you immediately. Like, whoa. They're asking, how do you do that? Then you have triggered, conversations. Now, and always remember that people want to hear about themselves, not about you. So typically, one of the things that I'll try to do is to talk to the person. Hey, oh, my name is Lanre, and I tell them what I do. How about you? What do you do? And then we start the conversations from there. Sometimes it could be so awkward that there's nobody looking at. I remember I attended an event and everybody was already connected. I got there a little bit late, and so people were already talking. And one of the rules I've learned is don't look for people, don't interrupt people when they're talking. So now they are in twos, in threes, in groups, and I'm just single. There's nobody. Now, one thing I've always been learning is that go and look for somebody who's also standing just alone. It's a good person to go and meet. Somebody standing alone, somebody trying to maybe there's a food like a buffet or something, like a table where people drink tea or anything. Go to that table. If anybody doing that, while you're doing that, you can start the conversation and say, hey, oh, what do they have here today? What are you taking? That can trigger a conversation. So there are different ways to break the ice. Because it can be very uncomfortable when you go to a place and sometimes you are done with one person and you're wondering, okay, where do I go next? And so the rule is enjoy the moment. You feel conversational about it, and don't be in a rush. Even if you think that you must meet, if your goal is to meet about 10 people in an event, maybe not. Sometimes you just need one person. And that's my own goal. I go to every event now, I say I must meet one person that I'm hoping that I can connect with later based on our mutual interest or the conversation that we've had. So once you have that goal, so every networking event you have a goal, for example, and practice your value statement. So for you, those of you on the call today, while you're listening to me, what does your value statement look like? What value do you bring to anywhere if you want to describe yourself today, don't say I am an engineer, I'm a project manager. No, that's not who you are. Who you are is not tied to your role, not tied to it's what you bring to the table. Your value. What value do you bring? And that's what I want you guys to do. So while this is going on, if you have, I'd like you to just find a way to craft your value statement. Now, connection building point, I want to share a couple of tips for the next 3-4 minutes, and then I take questions for the time that we have. Quality over quantity. Build three meaningful connections weekly rather than collecting hundreds of surface level contacts. Diversify your networks, connect with peers, mentors, recruiters, industry leaders. Find a way to connect, either on LinkedIn or in physical meetings. Look for platforms where people go for Eventbrite. There's a lot of events all over the city now. Check one near to you, attend events, add value first, comment on their posts if you're on LinkedIn, share insights, encourage other people, then they'll come back to you. And then, of course, you have postings, you have webinar like these, attend, and don't shy away from going to events. Consistency beats intensity. Turning your strategy into daily habits. So this is what I'm sharing with us today is an insight, powerful insight that can transform your career and take you to any level. as far as you want to go. The right habits, repeated consistently, compounds over time. You see people that are generating results. It wasn't overnight. It's a strategy around it, and that's what I'm sharing with us today. Execution is where most people fail. A lot of people prepare, they repackage your resume, do everything, but they don't execute very well, and that's why I'm sharing this with us today. So people do LinkedIn, they do resume well, but now let's put into work. That's where the little falter, and that's where you need ongoing mentorship and career guidance. So let's look at a couple of things as we wrap up. This is going to be my last slide. A blueprint I'm going to give to you all today, and I'll give you next 10 minutes for questions and answers. Identify if someone who was active in industry today, the strategy I'm going to share with you is a blueprint. It's identify companies that you're looking for opportunity in, maybe 10, maybe 5. Not the people that just shoot anywhere and shoot resume everywhere. No, customize resume, 10 or less. Identify a company that aligns with your personal goals and visions and your skill set. Tailor your resume to that. Optimize your LinkedIn profile. Reach out if you need to connect. A lot of recruiters online. Some of them will be searching your profile. If you look on your profile now, you'll see, I can show you where you see the little recruiters. And one thing about LinkedIn that anybody will check your profile, you can see where they're coming from, the industry they're coming from. It will show you. And you can tell whether people are looking up for you or not based on your profile. Then follow up. If you have any follow-up, if you apply for a role, there's nothing wrong in that. Somebody, if I LinkedIn does it in a way that they will show you where the company, sometimes they will show you the hiring, the HR contact that's hiring for that role. You can reach out to them and say, hey, I just applied for this role, looking forward to feedback. Whatever. Don't think that, oh, is it too forward? No, do that. Because the one interaction, I'm telling you guys, I've done this many times. When people interact with us, we take them serious. And if somebody just apply and just keep quiet and wondering and praying and wondering what will happen next. No, reach out to them. And then, of course, some will come back for interview. There's an interview prep insight that I share right here in the book. Please get out there. And of course, the number of resources I've also shared on how to prepare better for interviews, which is a different conversation. And I also have a tool. Many of you are aware. I'll put in the chat now, apexcareer.ai. Check it out. I think you have about a couple of days to try it out before you can start. It's my own way of trying to help people not only teach it, but provide AI tools that can help you make this happen. It takes you through the entire process, optimize your resume, do a cover letter for you that is customized to the role. And so every application you make is unique in itself, and that's where you drive value for what you're doing. So that's the journey. I believe that the session has been, but again, like I said, this is a high-level summary. If you want the details, this is where the answer is. Even me, myself, I go back to it to read the book because it's not just a theory. It's about an experience that I believe strongly everybody should have. You cannot be at the top of what you are doing today if you know how. And many of you are knowing me very closely will tell you my desire to develop us to succeed. We can all succeed. We can all succeed and then become a light to many others. So that's it. I'm going to open the room now for questions. And if you have any question in any of these areas, please, I'm happy. Yes, Precious, go ahead.
All right, good evening, sir, and thank you so much for this invaluable session. It's been very, very insightful. One of my questions, I actually have a couple of questions, but
Okay.
depending on the time, I'll just start with the first. Now, if you're making a career pivot, for example, someone like me, most of my experiences have been around business development, and now I'm pivoting to project management.
Yeah.
Would you advise that in my resume that I reflect my, actual, previous positions, for example, say head of business development and the rest, or would you advise that, I tie the experience to the current role, like for my resume to speak to project management instead of business development?
Okay, so So there are one or two ways you can do that. Now, the first thing you can retain your role, okay? But under your role, there'll be a subtitle to say what you have done that is tied to projects. So, for example, in your project development or business development role, I know you handle some projects, correct?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. Now, so I can say business development manager. And then I'll now put a subtitle under that role before I even go into the details of what I delivered, okay? I will say maybe delivered 15, 10, 3, whatever number of projects that you delivered that turned around, describing metrics, like I said earlier. And then in my role, so instead of talking about business development roles, I will describe what I've done from the project management standpoint. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So that way, your role, even though your role is what it is, but you are describing what is relevant to project management as your deliverables and what you've accomplished for the business within that space that you are there for that company. So that way, you are selling yourself as someone not only know about. So now you are even commanding two skill sets, not only knowing how to develop relationships by building businesses, you also have experience managing projects. And that's what makes you, in fact, probably better off than somebody who's just focused on project management itself, because now you have an additional skill set that a typical project manager, a career person who doesn't have. And that's what is your value proposition over and beyond project management, if that makes sense to you.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, sir.
Sure.
So my second question, I actually have three. The second is, how do you reconcile short work experiences in your resume? Let's say, for example, most of the work experiences that a person has been maybe 1 year, and the rest of that. How do you reconcile that? Is that a turnoff for recruiters, or for HR leaders?
No, okay. Sorry, I think I missed you on one of the. So, rephrase your question again.
On the resume, how do you reconcile short work experience in terms of time, duration of work? For example, someone whose work, maybe your work experience in maybe your last 3 work experiences, were for maybe a year. Each of them was like 1 year, and the rest of that. How do you reconcile that on the resume? And is that a turn-off for recruiters or for HR leaders?
Yeah, so there are 2 ways to deal with that, okay? Now, one way is so look, years of experience, while HR will tell you traditionally that, oh, if you spend short time with the company, maybe it's a red flag. Look, that's if you have not presented your value proposition very well, okay? Now, we all know that we work in an environment today that's very dynamic. The years of people spending 10 years, 15 years in a company is gone. In fact, you move to the Western world, the highest number of years people spend in the company is 3 years max. And that's a long time. Some people still spend more. I'm not saying that, but young generations, they we see that trend now. So HR is aware that people don't spend as much time. And the reasons are very clear. Maybe they didn't align with their personal vision, or they get in there and it's not an environment that's toxic for them. So there are different reasons. So the days of judging people and say, oh, spend 1 year somewhere and then maybe something's wrong with you. No, it could be the other way around. And we are aware of that now. So to answer your question more directly, I would say it doesn't matter. It's how you present what you have done. If you follow the roadmap of what you've shared here today, the blueprint that I've shared here today, and you're able to articulate your value proposition in a way that makes sense, okay? We are aware that people have contract arrangement, people have short-term project assignment. So it's how you couch what you do, okay? For example, I've been in the company for 3 months. And as a matter of fact, it was the reason why I was hired in the next one. Because they were like, oh, you work for this company? Then that means there's something you have that we're interested. Let's interview you first. By the time I got in the interview, they got blown away and they're like, wow, we need you. When are you willing to join? So I think its value is a function of how you present it. And there are many reasons. In fact, as a matter of fact, it could be a reason why they will invite you for interview. Your resume speaks so well about you, what you're doing so great, let's invite this person for interview. Why do you spend so less time here and not more? Then you give an opportunity for you to present yourself. I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. And to my last question, it's on LinkedIn. I know you mentioned, I know LinkedIn is a professional space. I actually took a break from LinkedIn for some time due to family reasons. However, I wanted to know what's your take on, for someone who is in ministry, do you recommend posting both ministry and career content, or do you recommend, making your LinkedIn strictly career-based?
Okay, so I think it's both, okay? Remember that LinkedIn, let me go into my LinkedIn. LinkedIn is about your value proposition. You must remember that. Ministry, career, at the intersection of this, of career and ministry, is value, purpose, okay? So if you look at the ministry, for example, you are aware, of course, I'm part of AMP. AMP is not for profit, but there are some things that I do that cut across that as well, okay? So for example, when it comes to some value systems like career advancement, career improvement, okay? Even in ministry, you are pursuing kindness, you are pursuing integrity, you are pursuing connections. There's a team. So what we're doing in ministry is just like a house. But the foundation for that house itself is about a value you're trying to drive, a system. So you can speak to those things that you're doing, for example. So you can say, for example, if you see on LinkedIn, people talk about connecting people, maybe a global cause or something that is very important dear to their heart. It could be a story, but wound in a way. So you're not just promoting your ministry and saying, oh, this is about the ministry. No, it's about the value you are driving in the ministry. It could be something you're trying to build, maybe women, for example, maybe women empowerment or something that you're doing. You can look at it in a way and present it in a professional way that is resonating with everybody. Because remember that LinkedIn is about connections. Don't forget that. Always remember that. It's about connections, it's about networking, and sometimes about locating yourself, what you believe, your purpose. And sometimes it's not about just talking about your career, your industry. No. You could get into that field where you're talking about something that connects everybody. And people will resonate with that and they will keep on following you and they can connect with you. And if you want to speak about career, well, you're fine, you can pivot to that. But don't limit your LinkedIn posting to career elements. For example, now, if you look at my profile, I'm talking about AI. I'm not an AI. I'm not AI, well, in my workplace. I'm talking about AI as to connect people, to connect with project management, to connect with life in general. Why am I doing that? Because that's something that I believe in. Doesn't mean that's what I'm doing. And so you can find a common thread. That's what I'm looking for here in what you do today that connects people. I can guarantee you it just connects. So, and then if you have somebody doing something that you like, comment on those things. You also give people the detail as well. You are still there, even though you are for family reasons, like you said, you are doing something else, but it doesn't mean you cannot still engage. Because the engagement, when you're ready, should not be when you're back. It's an ongoing thing that you can do to keep you out there. Because people are looking, I'm telling you, people are looking. And when you do something like, oh, is that, oh, Precious is still there. Oh, let me reach out to her. It's a reminder that you exist somewhere and they can reach out to you for opportunities. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Precious, does that help? Yes. Bamdele, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. Bright next. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening, Bright. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, sir. Please, I want to ask a question. My question is also on LinkedIn. For somebody that maybe wants to change career from another person, can he still put it on that LinkedIn that is open to work based on the fact that maybe his colleagues or his superiors also on LinkedIn that they're also connecting with him, so they'll be able to see this person is having this thought of leaving us. Do you think it's
I know, yeah. So now, so that's a very, I like that question because somebody asked me that question before that. I said, if I say I'm open to work, won't they see me and they say, this guy is looking for opportunity somewhere else? So you don't have to do open to work, okay? But what I'm saying here today, which you must do, every one of you on the call must do that, is to follow this problem this year. If you want to take a photo of this slide on screen right now, take a photo of this slide. Yeah, is make sure your headshot, describe yourself in a way that follow this pattern. I can tell you this works because this is what I'm doing. Okay, I can show you my profile today. Look, looking for me and say, hey, are you open for work? Even though I'm not saying open to work. You see my point now. So first, package yourself, follow this format, and if you want further clarification, you can reach out to me one-on-one. I can always give you guidance. But this is the blueprint. Okay, follow these. Put yourself out there. And then if you have, if you're registered for LinkedIn job profiles, there's a way they can register for jobs, and they'll be sending you jobs directly to your home, to your DMs, and nobody knows who you're applying to until you move. You get what I'm saying? Does that help?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, yeah. Okay. Bamdele, go ahead.
All right. Thank you, sir. Good afternoon once again, sir.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
One of my questions has been answered by the last caller now, or the last person that spoke now. Sir.
Okay.
But I want to ask is this. For me, I'm actually looking into, or I want to seek your opinion on this. I am into teaching.
Okay.
I am going to navigate into data entry now, and later on data analysis and the rest like that. Now, on LinkedIn, I did not have experience on that data entry now. How do I do it in such a way that I will still be visible, that I can still connect the right people inside in the line that I'm looking at to go into?
Okay. Now, so again, I'm going to emphasize all of you on the call, please take the shot of this slide. It's very important for you guys now on LinkedIn, until LinkedIn. Now, look at the section on the About section. So for you, first of all, what you would do, describe who you are and what you're about to learn, an industry you are interested in your About section, okay? If you are thinking of how to do it better, I've told you, use AI, you can help you compare, you can write something about you. Just drop what you want to do, the industry you're interested in, data, all those things, put it there and say, look, this is what I want you to showcase myself as on LinkedIn in my About section. Help me craft a compelling, whatever that looks like. I'm telling you, put it out there. Anybody that goes to your profile, once you have a good headshot, good all those things, all these things I've recommended here, your friends that you can connect with, that can help you write recommendations, or training that you are doing in that area, in data management, go for LinkedIn training on online and put it there that if you have certificate, put it there that you have already gone for this training. Your skill set, your certifications or your training, put it all out there. That's how to make sure that people know that this is what you're interested in. And I can guarantee you, when you look at the profile, it will show all those things and they can tell that this is your direction that you are driving towards. And that's how to set the stage for opportunities in the area you're looking forward to. How would that help?
Right. Yes, sir. Again, sir, I'm looking, doesn't that limit or affect this line that I'm currently into, that I'm trying to navigate from, that I know the opportunity that I still have now for me to get to where I'm going? Won't it affect any potential opportunity that I still have in this line now?
Well, what I would say is that, so you have to decide what you want to do. So just like Bryce asked, Bryce was saying, look, I want to move into a different industry. I think I'm done with where I'm at. Doesn't mean that if I see opportunity, I won't go for that opportunity, but I want to transition. Or someone like me, I was in HR, I want to move to project management. The way I tell my story is different from somebody who wants to stay in HR for a long time. It's my point now. So in your case, you have to determine what do you want to be. Do you want to continue to be a teacher and be the best teacher in that area and build your resume, your credibility along that line, or do you want to pivot into something else? So it come back to you, basically. So if your story is, I want to stay here, I want to become the best of the best in this area, then we can craft a story around that concept. If you want to transition into a different industry or a different skill set that requires you to be branded differently, then you can say this is your foundation as a teacher, but this is where you are going. So your storyline is a function of what's your personal vision, and that's what this story is going to be about.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Very
You're
much.
welcome. Yeah. Okay. Bryce, you have a follow-up question?
No, sir. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
All right, cool. All right, yeah. So any other question? I think we've had a very robust experience here today, and I must say I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thanks to you for all the questions, because it kind of showed the engagement, showed that this is a very this conversation that we all need to be having. I can guarantee you all, guys, this is what you need to do. This is what the very 1% do to make a difference. And that's why I'm excited that some of you are on the call today. I'm looking forward to your testimony, because I can guarantee you all, if you put this to work, I'm going to send you the recorded link so you can watch it again, and then probably the slide as well, because I want you guys to succeed. That's my passion. But when you succeed, I succeed as well. And I'm trusting that not to just be a hearer of this thing today, but actually put it to work, because that's really where the answer is. That's where the transformation comes into play. So again, for every of you on the call today, thank you all for joining, and I'm looking forward to a great experience in your careers, because I believe strongly that this is going to be a difference in what you do. So again, everyone, thank you for joining today. I'll see you all. So you have this session. You have one more session to go. This is a 90-day blueprint. We had one last month. We had one this today, and then the last one in November. I think the last weekend, Saturday in November, and then we wrap it up for the year. And I can guarantee you, 2026 shall be greater. God bless you all as always, and enjoy the rest of the day. God bless you all. Thanks for joining. Bye, everybody.